Welcome to Spooky Bear, where darkness whispers your name. And today, please enjoy.
Feed it good thoughts. Just one more, Sarah whispered, finger trembling against the thin hospital blanket. Her voice, once warm as summer honey, had faded to dust. I sat beside her, pen in hand, heart pounding. The old leather-bound notebook lay open on the bedside table, its blank pages gleaming like a promise. I'd found it in the attic 2 weeks ago, tucked inside her grandmother's cedar chest. No name on the cover, just a strange symbol stamped in tarnished silver. Dust motes drifted above it, as if it were a holy relic. I closed my eyes and thought of better days, the first time Sarah kissed me, at that carnival by the river, the fireworks painting her face in orange and pink light. I opened the notebook and wrote, in my best cursive, August 14th, 2009. I remember Sarah's laugh as she spun me around beneath the Ferris wheel. The carnival lights glimmered in her eyes, and for a moment, the world was ours. I set the pen down. My fingers had left an imprint on the paper, tiny ridges running through the freshness of ink. The room was deathly quiet except for Sarah's labored breath. Over the next hours, Sarah's chest rose and fell more steadily. Her lines of fever drained from her face. By dawn, her cheeks held color again, and she managed a weak smile. "This notebook," she rasped. "It's doing something." I kissed her hand. "It's working." The next day brought hope and a price. That evening, I found a new sentence scrawled across the top of the page in the same black ink I'd used. "Remember your happiest thought." My breath caught. I held the pen with shaking fingers. Above that prompt was my own handwriting. No one else could have written it. I flipped back a page. At the end of my Ferris wheel entry, in faint script, it read, "Feed it." But I sank into the armchair. The pen glowed in the dying light. I thought of the day I proposed to Sarah, her hands trembling as she slid the ring onto my finger. I wrote, May 3rd, 2012. On the cliff overlooking the sea, she said yes. The gulls cried overhead, and we tried to catch their cries in our bottles. She was so happy her tears drifted into my palms. I closed the book. The sentence beneath it split into 2 lines. Good. Now, one old enough to hurt. The room dimmed. I swallowed bile. Happy memories were easy. Pain was... I flipped the page again. Beneath my entry, a new prompt scrawled, "Unbury the first time you were truly sorry." I remembered my father's belt, the first time it came down on me for spilling milk on the new rug. I was 4. I wrote, Fenter Winter, 1984. I spilled milk on Dad's new rug. He hit me until my ears rang. He slapped my face and called me worthless. I cried in the snow. Mittens caked red with my blood. I pressed the pen to the paper too hard. The words burned into my hands. I set the notebook aside. My arms shook with guilt I had long buried. The next morning, Sarah's color deepened. Her fever broke. She sat up, weak but alive. Tears stung my eyes. "It's working," I whispered. That night, the pen scratched without my hand. I grabbed it, fear clawing at my chest. The notebook filled a page, and now, your secret you've never said aloud. My pulse throbbed, sweat slicking my palms. I thought of Sarah, her trusting gaze, of the fault I'd hidden. At 20, drunk at a party, I'd left her alone in my car to go chase some passing thrill. She blacked out, and by the time I returned, she'd broken her wrist when the door slammed in the wind. She forgave me, but I carried the shame. I wrote, July 2003. I left her in the car. She woke to pain, and no one there. I found her bleeding on the asphalt, broken and alone. As I finished, the room seemed to sigh. The floorboards whispered. The pen scrawled beneath my confession. Sweeten the last, your darkest wish. My darkest wish. I closed my eyes. Thoughts spiraled, pain for Sarah, relief for myself. I hadn't truly wished her harm, but then I saw my relief, my envy when other men helped her, when I was dim and she shone. I wrote, "Me darkest wish, that I could vanish and she would still glow, happy, free, unshadowed by me." I pressed the pen down. My chest ached. The notebook trembled. Good. Now, give her what she truly needs. I snapped the book shut. My stomach churned. What did Sarah truly need? More time? Less me? Over the next days, my world narrowed. I found myself at Sarah's bedside, reading the notebook's prompts like scripture. I wrote until my hand bled. Each entry brought her back from the brink, her color blooming in her cheeks, her eyes bright again. But the notebook's demands grew, deeper sins, older scars, the wishes I never spoke. I refused to stop. In her eyes was my failure. I would not lose her. I scribbled until dawn. I killed him when that babysitter's anger turned my father against me. I wrote of the forgiveness I never asked. Each confession burned me, and Sarah healed. My siblings called with concern. "Jess, you sound exhausted," my sister said. I explained the strokes of terror as stress. They accepted it. They always had. One night, I fell asleep at the desk, head on the open notebook. When I woke, the page was filled, not in my handwriting, but a neat, looping script I recognized as Sarah's. "Thank you for remembering. It's not enough." Terror washed through me. I looked beside me. Sarah sat on the edge of the bed, pale but stern, watching me. Her eyes glowed with something alien. "It wants more," she whispered, voice hollow. I closed the book. "We can stop." She shook her head. "It chose us." I barely slept. I dreamt of the notebook's pages roaring with my confessions, paper burning like flesh. I woke drenched in sweat to write again. A final entry. I would bear the pain myself. She deserved freedom more than I. I carefully wrote, "Set, let me bear it all. Take her pain. Leave me with the scars." I exhaled, pressing the pen's last flourish. The notebook fluttered. The lights dimmed, then blazed. A breeze, impossible indoors, tore through ripping pages. Sarah stirred, eyes fluttering open, a smile bright but sad. "I feel lighter." I sank beside her. One half of me rejoiced. The other trembled. That night, I heard the whisper of pages turning, though the notebook lay shut. I rose and found it open on the bedside table, blank pages trembling. I leaned over. Letters wrote themselves. "Sorry, your sacrifice is not enough." My lungs seized. The walls seemed to close in. Sarah slept, peaceful. Give her one final gift. I stared at the pen. My heart thundered. "What does she need?" I whispered. No answer, just the echo of wind in the room. By dawn, I made my choice. I opened the notebook's cover wide. On the first blank page, I wrote in my shaking hand, "Everything, take everything." And in the margins, tiny letters, "Mine." The pen dropped. The room went still. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the notebook snapped shut, pages stiff as bone. The walls groaned. The lights flickered and died. I woke on the floor. The notebook lay before me, spine broken, pages blank. I crawled to the bed. Sarah was gone. Only her sheet lay twisted, cold as marble. I ran through the empty rooms, still decked in her belongings, but no sign of her. No note. In the front hall stood the chestnut sideboard from which I'd first unearthed the notebook. Its top was open now, revealing, my hand froze, the intricate symbol inlaid in silver. Beneath it, a small slip of paper, in my father's looping script. "Silence is shared." A wind whispered through the house. From behind a locked door, I heard leaves rustle, steps approach. A pen scratched on paper. I fled, leaving the notebook and house behind. The world outside was harsh, wind and sirens and life. My chest stung with grief and relief. I would never write another page. But in the night, when the wind rattles windows, I hear the scratch of pen on paper and the subtle echo of my own voice, urging me to feed it good thoughts.
Sleep is a luxury, and you've just run out. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll be waiting for you, if you dare.